Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Whoa, dude! This makes playing games on the Atari awesome!
Yeah, but you still stink.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm going to go back to my roots in this video. And by that, I mean it's going to be an Atari related video. So let's do this. Alright, well check it out. This is a circa 1983 video game brain, or otherwise known as a video game switcher, that's used with your Atari 2600. What this allows you to do is to have 6 games ready to go at the press of a button. And this is a third-party item, so it's not directly from Atari. And I do know for certain that I've never had this as a kid. I've seen these around before, and I was always interested in picking up one if I could find one available. This one is a model from RGA International. RGA-1360 for the particular model number. Now, the seller, if I recall, did not say whether this worked or not. Just said it looked like new. And, well, I mean, it's in decent condition. It does not look like new. It definitely needs to be cleaned up a bit. Even the light is not centered on there, so hopefully this thing works. Well, this is what I want to do first, because I'll have to clean these contacts out to make sure they're definitely clean and making contact with the cartridge. I don't want to have any issues when we try this out. So I'll just do a quick cleanup on this, and then we'll try with the 2600 and see if each of these slots work, and go from there. I'll be back in 1 second. This is a photo of how it looked before I started the cleanup. And here's the end results. I think it turned out pretty good. What I did first was clean up with some disinfectant wipes. And then I polished it with some Novus 1. Love this. I also cleaned out the contacts in each of the 6 cartridge slots, as well as the contacts on the plug. And what I used for that was some deoxit. Then the last thing I did was some touch up on this orange border. There was a lot of spots that were scratched off. So I used my paint markers, specifically the orange one, which was a perfect match. And I think that turned out pretty good as well. Let's go ahead and do a proper once over on this item, since I really didn't go through it thoroughly. There's no instructions, but it's pretty self-explanatory if you look at it. So we have the 6 slots right here for the Atari 2600 cartridges. You would insert them in, and then we had these 2 other blank slots. There's no connections or anything on the bottom of it. So that's really going to be just, holding slots for other games or whatever cartridge you want to swap out with the 6 that are already inserted. So you can essentially play 8 different cartridges right at your fingertips without having to go too far. We also have on the front here, as I mentioned, about the red LED light. It is a little bit off-centered, but I think we'll be okay with it. You can still see it through the hole. Now, to get the power for this, in order for that light to be lit, you need to plug in this cable that's connected to this plug, which looks just like a cartridge. And this goes into the 2600. This very thick cable attached to it. And that's pretty much all of it on here. And one more thing to call out on this is that on the front of it, we have this little procedure label. It states that you need to turn off your game console first before you press the button for the cartridge you want to load. And then after selecting the cartridge, you can turn on the game console. Now that makes sense when you think about the Atari 2600. You can't just pull the cartridge out while it's on and then insert a different one in and expect it to read it without a problem. Because of that, what I'm thinking is I'm going to use my Atari 2600 Plus. That's right, because this one will allow you to go ahead and pull cartridges out while it's on, and it's going to switch without having any issues whatsoever, which would kind of make this seem like a multi-cart with having multiple options of games at your fingertips. And that's assuming that this device actually works, which I believe it will. Now, I do have to say that I like how this looks, because it has this faux wood on the side here, and also on this cartridge plug. And like I said earlier about the orange touch-up that I did around the top border. This kind of all plays in and matches with the Atari 2600 theme. Really nice. Okay, I think we're ready to give this a shot, so let me get this into the other room where I have all my Ataris set up. We're going to focus less on the games that I choose to put in here, and then more on how it handles switching between the cartridges and how quickly it reacts. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so we're walking now towards the Atari side of my basement, and it's pretty much everything that you see on top of that cabinet. Those are the Ataris that I usually play with, and then the ones I have on display are over here. So we have all the Atari accessories, gaming systems, magazines, and then we got some of the handheld games that I feature on the channel, as well as some other stuff back here, which I have to do a video on how this looks lately because it's been updated quite a bit. I have to do a proper video on this. But anyways, so these are all the Ataris. And that's my Androbot Topo robot, which I need to get a video made on it. The process in getting it is a story in itself, which I'm happy I finally got it a couple months ago. But back to this. This is what we're focused for this video. So this is going to be the setup I'll use to test whether or not this video game switcher works with my Atari 2600 Plus. And again, this is not the 2600, this is the Plus version, which has an HDMI output to my television. But I will also capture this to a video capture card and give you a nice quality picture of the game. And speaking of the games, here are the 6 that I chose for the switches. We have E.T., Haunted House, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Sky Jinx, Pac-Man, and Pitfall. And yes, there are 2 more, but these 2, Keystone Capers and Kangaroo, are just sitting in the spare slots. There's really nothing underneath it. In order for these games to work, I'd have to swap it with one of these 6. But I just wanted to show how it looks if you were to fill all these up with 8 possible games, so you don't have to leave your couch or chair when you play these games. You can use this as a true, I guess, kind of like a multi-cart, and just toggle between the buttons if you want to change them. The more I think about these games, it kind of reminded me of a video I recently watched on a channel that I subscribe to called High Caliber. He did a great video on the Atari 2600, and I think pretty much most of these games I have selected here as well. What makes that video pretty cool is how he explores the mindset of when Atari 2600 games were popular, as well as the nostalgia connected to those experiences. He has this kind of way of pulling you in and taking you back to a relatable time in your childhood.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
You gotta check out his channel if you get a chance, because I think you'll see what I mean with how he makes his videos. It's pretty cool. The link to his channel is right here, and I will also put it in the description for you. Alright, let's turn this thing on and see if it works. Okay, before I turn it on, I just remembered I want to plug in a joystick, just in case I want to make sure that the game really does work, not just to turn it on and see the splash screen. Let's actually get some gameplay. So plug that in. And I think we are ready to go. We are selected for the first slot, or the slot to the far left, which would be E.T. Here we go. Turn it on. Light goes on there, which is nice. It has the Atari splash screen, which is great. And it's loading game. So far, so good. There we go, E.T. Pretty cool. Alright, well, let's make sure it does work. Okay, yeah, it's not just the title screen. I am moving E.T. around. So that slot works, and it does recognize this device with the cartridge. Let's go ahead and select the second one, which should be Haunted House. Oh, nice. 2 for 2. Well, let's start the game. Let's make sure it does work. Yep. Okay. Now, let's try the third one, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark. 343. I am happy. So that works. There I am moving around. All right, let's go with the fourth one. It is Sky Jinx. Four for four. We have Sky Jinx working. Well, let's make sure it works. Yep. Okay, let's get to the fifth one. Not one of my favorites, but, well, at least not this version. And that's Pac-Man. There we go. Pac-Man it is. Okay. We have one more to try. The sixth one, which is Pitfall. Okay. So what have we determined here? Well, we know that all 6 of these slots work. It's readable to the Atari 2600, and it does recognize the switcher, which is awesome. And I guess there's another test I want to try, and that would be to remove a cartridge while it's actually active, which would be the Pitfall one right now. Pull it right out, plug in something else, and let's see if it recognizes it. Let's try that. I'll pull Pitfall out. Still selected. And we'll go with Keystone Capers. No game detected. Loading game. Awesome. Feels so wrong to do that, but it's totally okay to do it. So that's great. This thing is like a hot swappable slot for each one. Just like a multi-cart, you can just switch whenever you like, but it's not as quick as a multi-cart, obviously. It's a little bit slower, but it's not too bad, actually. It's a really cool device, I think, to add to the Atari 2600. Back in the day, this was going to be really nice to have and to brag about having all these games at your fingertips. But even still, I don't know. I think this is such a cool-looking third-party device to have with the Atari 2600, you know, in at least my display in my collection. It looks like it fits it perfect, again, with the coloring and the decor of it all. So I love it. Great pickup. Let me know what you all think of this. Did you ever have one of these, or maybe you have one now? This is a circa 1983 video game brain, or otherwise known as a video game switcher, and it's used for the Atari 2600. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember, keep that gaming passion from the past alive by living it today, just like we're doing right now. Take care, everyone.